Shazam?
Peacemaker. What a joke.
I'm nobody. I came because I have no choice. I came to save my home and the people that I love.
Truth, justice,
the American way.
I'm vengeance.
Hello and welcome back to Elseworlds, a DC fan podcast. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and today we are talking all about Black Adam, the new DC film that just came out this weekend. So I know it's been a bit since I recorded, and actually some of the slate has changed even more. I think originally this movie, last time we spoke, was supposed to come out in the July. There was some big changes when Discovery took over, and I've been wanting to do an episode about Discovery taking over. You know what? No, this movie has kept its state the whole time. Okay, other movies have changed due to the shakeup from Discovery. So Discovery and WB merged, and it put Discovery in charge of DC and WB Pictures. So what has happened with that is they ended up pushing back a lot of films. I've been wanting to do an episode about this since August when it happened, because they ended up canceling Batgirl, which was a straight-to HBO Max film starring Leslie Grace as Batgirl. It had Brendan Fraser as Firefly. It had Michael Keaton even reprising his role as Batman, which he's going to do in The Flash as well. So then we were kind of up in the air with what was going to happen with Batgirl due to The Flash getting pushed back, because The Flash introduces Michael Keaton back into this universe, and it ends up shifting a lot of stuff. And I really want to do an episode about it, but you know what? Every time I wanted to, I thought, let me wait for more information to come out about the Discovery stuff, because it's going to be a very pessimistic episode if I jump on it as soon as it happens. I say, why you cancel Batgirl, all this stuff. And that's still a question. Why, right? They did it for a tax write-off, which is ridiculous for a company like WB and Discovery. All that hard work that people had put in making that movie, never going to see the light of day. It was all wrapped, pretty much. Probably still some post-production stuff going on, but it was essentially done. So Zaslav, who comes in, he's, Discovery's head. He's by all accounts, people were saying, you're not going to like this merger because he's cheap. He comes in and guess what he does? Starts doing a lot of cheap stuff. Removing stuff from HBO Max that is not anywhere else, but because it's a cheaper option to do the tax write-off, scrapping a whole bunch of stuff. And it really left the future of DC films up in the air, and it was a very stressful time. I'm sure if you're working there, for fans, it was a stressful time because we didn't know what was going to happen, right? When you look at it, and we have the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is essentially Disney telling Feige, like, do whatever you want. And he's been able to build this universe off characters that are lesser known than the characters in the DC library. And it ends up a very frustrating time, I'm sure. And it was a frustrating time as a fan, when you're like, we can't get a proper Justice League movie off the ground, like a sequel to Justice League that maybe has more under its feet. We can't get a Superman film going. That's one thing that Zaslav does want to do, and we'll talk about where we see Superman in this universe later. But then you're wondering, okay, maybe they're just going to release Black Adam, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and Aquaman, and then kind of reset. Well, it doesn't seem that's going to be the way. They are going to continue with the universe, but they're going to do some things, I would say, a little differently than what Marvel is doing. But they are trying to find a studio head to head this, like Kevin Feige. And so far, we had somebody close to signing, and then they decided not to. Probably because they'd have to deal with David Zaslav, who just is canceling projects, removing. So you don't know if it's actually going to last, right? And then there's all these rumors that, well, in a couple years, Comcast is going to purchase Discovery Warner. And that would probably throw off people wanting to take the job. Okay, so what? In a few years, I might get replaced anyway, and new ownership may want to change things again? So not great where we are. But then recently, we've had a little bit more hope with the things that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is saying about the future of Black Adam, the future of the DC Universe. He's very passionate about it. He wants to make sure that this is in a good spot. It's probably going to come down to if Black Adam is well received and makes money. But we'll talk more about where that can go as we go into this. So, Black Adam, let's kind of get into it. It's moved to October in March. It was originally supposed to be July, got pushed to October 21st. I'm recording this on October 22nd. I just saw the movie late last night, 8:30. Got home at like 11 and went to bed. Woke up. Let's record, right? Let's go over and talk about what I really liked about Black Adam and maybe things I didn't like, but also where this can go in the future. So first, let's talk about the actual information of the film. So let's go over the credits, right? We have directed by Jean-Mi Colette Serra, if I pronounced that wrong, but he is somebody that was handpicked by The Rock for this because he also directed Jungle Cruise with him. So that was something that they had a good working relationship. He brought him over. Due to that, they filmed Black Adam. It was written by Adam Sistikel and Rory Haynes and Sohrab Rani. Sorry. Based on characters from DC, of course, and starring Dwayne Johnson, Aldous Hodge, Noah Centineo, Sarah Sahi, Marwan Kenzari, Quintessa Swindell, Bodhi Sabangoyi, and Pierce Brosnan. And it was released by Warner Brothers Pictures and released October 21st, 2022. So far, we don't have too much news on how it is actually being money-wise, how much it's making money-wise at the time I'm recording this. I think they only did like the Thursday previews so far for that. Okay, so the main plot of this film here is in 2600 BC. There is a tyrannical king in Kondak, which is the hometown of Teth Adam. And they create the crown of Sabak, which is known to give the wearer great power. And a young slave is given the power of Shazam, transforming him into Kondak's heroic champion, Teth Adam. And he kills the king and ends his reign. And in the present day, Kondak is oppressed by Intergang. And what we learn later on here is that they've been kind of living in oppression, right, since the for 27 years, I think she says. But I'm not sure if that's all by Intergang or what they've kind of said I assume that's by all with Intergang. What they've kind of said is that in those last, 5,000 years, it's been constant. Constant people taking over Kondak and oppressing the people of Kondak. So that's how the movie opens up. I don't know, first 10 minutes is in the past, and we get to see, I would say, the legend side of the story, right? Because we're going to find out later on that that's not exactly what happened when Teth Adam gives a little bit more background on how he got the powers of Shazam after his son. But it kind of starts off with this legend. The kid is telling the story, and he is skateboarding. We'll find out he is also part of the people in the van, right? The people in the van are archaeologists, and Sarah Sahi plays Adriana Tomaz, and her goal is to try to locate the Crown of Sabak. Her brother is Kareem. He's the one driving the van. And then she has two colleagues, Samir and Ishmael. And she has the crown. She doesn't have the crown, sorry. She's trying to go get the crown. They're in this van. They get stopped at these checkpoints by Intergang. And her son is going to be able to kind of distract the guards enough to be able to get them through. She's in hiding. They know that she's searching for this. Her son is named Aman. So I guess one thing we can kind of talk about Aman and Adriana is that they are superheroes in the comics and in some of the older cartoons for Shazam and such. So what it says here is in 1976, her first appearance for Adriana Tomaz was in the comic Shazam number 25, and she goes by the name of Isis, which is, I guess, based off the Egyptian goddess name. Which is interesting, because I didn't really know that. But it seems like her television name and everything was originally Andrea Thomas, and it looks like that's when it changed. It changed in 2006 for Adriana Tomaz, for her to be a female counterpart to the character of Black Adam and a part of the Shazam family of characters. This is all from Wikipedia. You can look it up. They did have Isis actually in Smallville, which my wife and I introduced it to my wife last year. We watched all 10 seasons last year. I had watched it originally when it was airing and all that kind of stuff. But yes, Isis did appear. And Adriana Tomaz actually appeared in Smallville as well. I didn't realize that. That's who Sarah Sahi is playing in this show here, in the movie. And her son is Aman Tomaz, and his name is Osiris. In the comics here, he was there was a version of the character that was a contemporary to Captain Marvel Jr., but has a connection to the character Black Adam. Let's see when he first appeared here. He first appeared in 2006 in Teen Titans number 38 in a cameo appearance, and a full appearance later that year in 52 number 23. That was December 2006. Created by Jeff Johns, Grant Morrison, Greg Rucka, Mark Waid, Keith Griffin, and Drew Johnson. Wow, what a lineup of creators. That's pretty cool. If you don't know what 52 was, it was a weekly comic series from 2006 to 2007, which had 52 issues. That's a cool idea. That's a cool idea. Probably a lot of work, but it's a cool idea. So if you didn't know, they're comic characters. Part of the Black Adam Shazam families. And I guess kind of extending the Black Adam family since, mostly we have a lot of the Shazam family that we know of. one thing that's really cool is immediately when Teth Adam is going to be woken from his slumber, this is in the mountain, while Sarah Sahi's character, Adriana, is in some trouble. She's going to awaken and lift the curse, or lift the prison, I guess you would say. She thought it was, what she's going to kind of find out is that the Wizards of Shazam did not really like the fact that Teth Adam had this power, because they're not the ones that granted it to him. And after he had some destruction, they kind of locked him away. And she's going to awake him from that, and he's going to come down and just slaughter most of these Intergang troop members, which was pretty brutal. There's the one where he holds like the guy's neck and just turns him into a skeleton. Then he's just like brutally slaying some of these people. It was pretty fun action at this point, actually. Well, Amanda Waller is going to hear about this, and if you're not familiar with who Amanda Waller is, she, of course, heads the Suicide Squad, or Task Force X, and she also has some contacts with actual superheroes. If you remember, if you watched Peacemaker, at the end of Peacemaker, she's the one that's going to call in the Justice League. Well, she's also going to call in the Justice Society of America, and she calls Carter Hall, and he's going to tell her, okay, I got Kent Nelson, that's Dr. Fate, I got Maxine Hunkel, Cyclone, and I got Albert Rothstein, who is Atom Smasher, and they are the Justice Society of America, the JSA, the original team of superheroes in comic books. They were the first team of superheroes in comic books, and this was in All-Star Comics number 3, the winter of 1940 to 41. They didn't have like exact month dates back then, I guess. And the original members of that team were Dr. Fate, Hourman, the Spectre, Sandman, Atom, the Flash, Green Lantern, and Hawkman. So we get Hawkman, we get Dr. Fate. So Al Pratt, who was the original Atom, is the uncle of Albert Rothstein in the film here. In the comics, he was, looks like they said it was his godfather. But he appears in FaceTime in Black Adam, played by Henry Winkler. The Fonz is Adam. And we get Atom Smasher, which I thought he looked really great. Atom Smasher looked really cool. But Justice Society of America were, like I said, the first team of superheroes in comic books. They were just groundbreaking in that sense. Most people probably looked at this, if you're not familiar with the Justice Society of America, you probably thought, oh, okay, they wanted to make it not Justice League for whatever reason. I don't know. I think some people don't know that that has ever happened, right? That there was a team called the Justice Society and all that good stuff. So that's always fun for people to discover. They're kind of appearing a lot more now in things like Stargirl, which I haven't seen yet, but I know, she's one of the members of the Justice Society of America, and she has her own show, and I know like Hourman, I think, appears in it, and some other characters. And in things like Smallville, where Dr. Fate appeared, Hawkman appeared, Stargirl, the whole Justice Society appeared back in Smallville. And I think some of them may have appeared in Legends of Tomorrow on the CW. Regardless to say, they've been kind of making more of an increase. So if you've watched those shows, you're probably familiar with the Justice Society. If you haven't, you're probably like, what, Justice Society? I thought they were the Justice League. So I'm always curious how that is for people that are not familiar, like what their thought was when they hear some of this stuff. And for them to not know that this was the original is probably fun too. Okay, so Intergang, of course, is a Superman antagonist as well. They are a gang squad that's usually in them, some of the times led by Morgan Edge, sometimes led by Lex Luthor, all these people, Moxie Mannheim, all that. But a lot of people know it from Morgan Edge, and I believe that's how it was in Smallville as well. But anyway, back to Black Adam. So he's awoken from his slumber. Amanda Waller calls Carter Hall, who is Hawkman, gets on a line. He gets these heroes in here, and they're going to arrive into Kondak and stop Black Adam from further destruction. What is pretty interesting with this is that the way that they're presented in this movie, I would say, right? Like, these are what would usually be the superheroes of the film, the main heroes of our story. And the people of Kondak have a different reaction to that. And I think that's something that was very interesting and very fun to see in this movie. And I think it's something that put a nice little twist on it, is when you have an anti-hero like Black Adam, and when you have somewhere that is under like martial law, right, or military rule, like Intergang. What is interesting is, and one of the themes of the whole film that I found very interesting, is when you have Hawkman swoop in, save some of the bad guys, right? Save some of Intergang from Black Adam, and he lands. And the people of Kondak are booing him. Right? They're booing him because they thought they were about to see some form of justice. And when you have these people that just saved the villains saying, no, we're the Justice Society, they're probably like, okay, sure, right? You're the Justice Society. Why haven't you been here to help us? This is what Adriana's going to say. You don't care about Kondak. We've been under rule for 27 years with no one to help us. And now that we have somebody that actually stands up for us, that actually cares for us, you end up wanting to stop them? Oh, so now you show up. Now that we have a champion. Now that we have somebody that can save us, you're going to stand up and say, actually, this guy's destructive. And maybe it was a little, I'm sure people might say that, a little bit too heavy-handed, a little too over the head, maybe, like pounded into your head. But I enjoyed this part. I really thought it was a lot of fun to kind of have that idea, and for me to think of the idea, too, of like, how would I react, right? Like, let's take it back and put yourself in the shoes of people of Kondak who have been living under oppression for 27 years with Intergang, but from what we learn is that they are constantly taken over and oppressed, really since Teth Adam, the savior, right? The champion, killed the king. And that they've just been living under oppression. Well, you would probably feel very good when a guy shows up and it's this champion that you have legends of, you have a statue of, or you think you have a statue of, right? And he's going out there brutalizing all of these villains that have made your life hell. All of your whole life. And like, we don't know how old Adriana is, right? But if they've been occupied by Intergang for 27 years, she's probably in like her early 40s, late 30s, right? That's most of her life. And you see all this stuff, and then you see people that are so-called heroes swooping in and saying, we can't kill these people. And actually, we gotta stop the dude who's saving you. No wonder they're booing. No wonder they're cheering for when Black Adam comes down. It's stuff like that, I think, that really made this movie work for me. Because I haven't really talked about my thoughts on the movie, but I really enjoyed this film. And it's stuff like this, I think, that really made me feel that way. And of course, maybe at times heavy-handed. Whatever. But I liked the theme, and I enjoyed putting myself in their shoes and thinking, how would I feel if I was seeing something similar? So, We get the Justice Society swooping in. Justice Society stuff, very good. Very good. I really enjoyed them a lot. Look, if people may not know, I really like Dr. Fate. I went to the movie repping my Dr. Fate gear. I enjoy Dr. Fate a lot. So, it was great seeing him. And it was great Pierce Brosnan is Kent Nelson. He's Dr. Fate. It was great. Like, that part is great. Seeing his action is great. I thought Atom Smasher was funny at times. Sometimes maybe a little too much on the humor for Atom Smasher. Cyclone, I thought she was interesting. She didn't get too much to do. And Hawkman, of course, was great. And I really wish they would have told us like what kind of Hawkman we're getting. So for people that don't know, there's a lot of different origin stuff for Hawkman. But like the most familiar one is that he is somebody that keeps being reincarnated along with his lover. And when a lot of the movie is about Dr. Fate wanting to not have Carter die, I was kind of confused because I was like, most of the time, he's somebody that, yes, he'll die, he'll come back reincarnated and be able to take up the mantle again. But I thought maybe they would mention that. But maybe that's not maybe that's not the version we're getting, right? There's other versions where he is, I guess, alien. There's other versions. As many people said, the origin history of Hawkman, and if you go read some of Hawkman, like Wikipedia page, very lengthy and can have very different interpretations. But like I said, the most interesting one, and the one that I feel like would have worked really well with this plotline, is that he, would be reincarnated later. They kind of hint to it when he says he doesn't fear death. That's my thought, is that we do have this version, and that the hint is him saying he doesn't fear death, because he's probably lived it. And with how long him and Dr. Fate are supposed to be friends, with Kent saying he's lived almost, 100 years? He said for the first time in 100 years. I see nothing. I assume with Carter that he is somebody that would be killed and reincarnated. But I'm assuming that they didn't want to kill off Hawkman with... even though that is something that can be done, because maybe then they feel like they'd have to recast, or it would take a while for him to kind of age back up. And they really like Aldous Hodge, and you should, because he's great. That's my thoughts on what kind of version of Hawkman we have here. But anyway, what we're going to learn is that it was not Teth Adam who was the champion, right? It was his son. His son was the champion, and what happened is when his son was in some trouble, he passed the powers on to his father. And not long after he does that, does his son die, get shot. And he goes off and kills, the king and all these people that worked for the king. So from there, we learn that the statue is actually of his son. So that's why when he goes over to the statue earlier, he says, "Forgive me," right? He says, "Forgive me." It's him talking to his son. It's him having this nice little moment with his son that we then recognize later when they kind of explain that. So then after Black Adam had slaughtered all the king's men, he was summoned by the Wizards of Shazam. This is when he was imprisoned due to him being unworthy of the powers. So we get that part. We also get that they do actually get the crown. Ishmael was revealed to be the leader of Intergang, and he's actually the descendant of the king. That's a little odd, I guess. Look, the villain's probably the weakest part of the story, right? Intergang and Ishmael. Probably the weakest part of the story. Very interesting stuff more between the Justice Society and Black Adam than the villain and Black Adam. So, at one point, they think they're done. They think that they've stopped whatever they were going to stop. They kill, or Black Adam kills, I guess. Black Adam kills Ishmael. And what we find out is that the crown actually doesn't read life is the only path to death. It reads death is the only path to life because of some sort of mirror thing. I don't know. That part kind of lost me on why they decided, oh, we have to kind of flip it like a mirror. Something, I don't know. Kind of lost me on that part. But yes, that's what they kind of decide, is that actually it's supposed to be read the other way. And the reason why they decide that is because Ishmael says that right before he dies. But I don't know like what the justification of that was. Maybe I missed it. I've only seen the movie once. But yeah, so that's how that goes down. They have Black Adam surrender. They take him to Task Force X headquarters. We got to see Amelia Harcourt from Peacemakers, the Suicide Squad. That's Jennifer Holland. She's the one that's going to receive Black Adam and put him in the submerged tank. I think Waller's busy or whatever at this point. And then from there, we go to, all right, we think we're done. And if you don't know the runtime, you're probably thinking, oh, geez, this is all wrapped up pretty nicely. And we're done until we find out that Dr. Fate's vision has not changed. He's still seeing Carter die. And what he'll later say is that there is a way to stop this, and it's him pretty much sacrificing himself. But anyway, what happens is the Ishmael is able to go to the demons because of his death, and they're able to say, you are the champion of us now. They send him back up as this really, I don't know, ugly satanic demon thing with the like pentagon on his chest. And they're going to then realize, oh crap, we have to fight this guy again. It happens all really quick. The crown disappears, the body disappears of Ishmael, and that's how you kind of start realizing something's going on. Then they see the demon pop up. They're going to go, the Justice Society is going to try to go take care of it. And this is when Dr. Fate's going to put up a barrier so that way Carter can't come in there and stop him. And he is going to kind of distract the demon for a good bit of time with his multiple versions of himself. And at that time, he's actually going to go wake up Black Adam and say, hey, we actually need you. I'm going to unleash you from the submerged tank. You're going to have to say the word Shazam, and let's get out of here. And that works, but he's about to... he's getting out. He can't take off the mask, the breathing mask. And the... I guess government? The people from Task Force X headquarters is going to come in and try to take him down. He's going to escape through the water. He has this nice moment with his son and wife where, he thinks he's ready to join them, and his son says, it's not your time yet, Dad. And say the word, Shazam. He gets to the top of the water, he says Shazam, boom, takes off. It's going to help fight the demon. And unfortunately, Kent Nelson, Dr. Fate, dies at this point. But he held on long enough. And then the shield goes down that he put up, the force field, and the rest of the JSA run up there. And Black Adam comes in, he's going to fight him. You have Hawkman use the helmet of Naboo, which is Dr. Fate's helmet. He uses the helmet for a bit to make multiple versions of himself to distract him enough for Black Adam to take him out. That was some really cool fighting stuff. Again, the villain kind of weak, right? The other part is kind of weak is the skeletons, the dead coming to life in the town, and the townspeople having to like stand up and fight against them. My favorite part of that, though, was her brother, Adriana's brother Kareem, who, when he gets shot, Dr. Fate comes in and he's like, you know, I can see the future. You're not going to die from this. And he says, stay away from electricity, right? And, of course, her brother's an electrician, so that's his job. He's not going to be able to stay away from it. I guess maybe he's going to get a career change. I know I would. If they were like, stay away from your job, it's going to kill you, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to go to work then. I'm going to find a different job. But when he comes in with the truck, the van, and comes out, you know, blaring the music, and he just has this, like, energy of, like, I'm going to kill all these skeletons. He jumps out and he says to his sister, I die from electricity, like, don't worry. And I thought that was really great. I laughed at that line. Because it also is not just a funny line, in my idea, but it's also something that kind of sparks something in you, right? Like, if you knew that this wasn't the way you died, does that give you more strength to say, well, I'm going to be able to go and take down all these skeletons because I know that that's not the way I'm going to die. And made me think, like, maybe you feel like almost invincible at that point. But then if you're ever in that battle and you start seeing electricity, maybe you turn back, right? I don't know. But that was something that kind of stood out to me with something that was just a throwaway joke, made me kind of think a little deeper about it. So that's why I kind of like that joke. But they save the day. And Black Adam is going to be the protector of Kondak. And he's not going to sit on the throne. He destroys the throne, which I thought was a cool image as well. The Justice Society pretty much say, like, we're going to keep an eye on you, but thanks for being a good team. And they leave. And that's the main storyline. We're going to get to the end credit scene in a little bit here. Overall, a decent story. It's, like I said, I think the action elevated a little bit more than what the basic plot is. But for an origin film for Black Adam, it's probably as good as it was going to get. And hopefully make some money at the box office so that they're able to, I don't know, make a Shazam versus Black Adam film, or a film that we're going to talk about here in a second. All right, and now for the worst kept secret in Hollywood. Henry Cavill back as Superman in the end credit scene. So if you weren't paying attention to any press releases, press junkets, you may have had no idea that this was a thing. But for people that do, like myself, who keeps an eye on this stuff, this was not a surprise, this end credit scene. Now, I think what a surprise was, because I didn't see the leaked version of it. That was kind of floating around the last week or so. I just knew Superman was back. I didn't know that Amanda Waller was appearing in it again. And I think this makes the thing work. Like, when I would hear stuff like people saying, well, Superman just kind of swoops down and says, Black Adam, we need to talk. You're like, how would he know about that? Like, what? Like, he's just saw it on the news and went there? Or, like, why would he do this? When you have Amanda Waller saying, hey, Black Adam, we're keeping an eye on you. And he's like, I dare you to find somebody on this planet that can match me. And she's like, well, I can put in a favor and get somebody that's not of this planet. And of course, you probably have a good idea at that point. Okay, Superman. But Superman's been kind of up in the air since Justice League 2017. Because there was a regime that then came in after that and was like, well, we don't really like the Snyder films. We think for whatever reason, I don't know, but they wanted to keep everybody else from those films. Keeping Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa in the Aquaman and Wonder Woman franchise. And they really just kind of focused on, all right, let's get rid of Ben Affleck as Batman. And let's get rid of Henry Cavill as Superman. And at one point it sounds like Walter Hamada's main idea here was going to be, we're going to replace those with kind of like Batgirl, Leslie Grace, and Sasha Calle's Supergirl that appears in The Flash. And for me, it's more like, why not both? Like, why can't we have both of those characters in this universe? You know, this is a whole universe. And then they did the whole thing where they're like, okay, well, we're going to replace Ben Affleck with Michael Keaton due to this timey-wimey stuff from the Flash film coming out. And then, you know, in Shazam, which was 2019, I guess they weren't allowed to use Henry Cavill then. I'm not sure if it was something with a disagreement between him and WB, or what it seems like, WB just being like, no thank you. And we got a neck down cameo in Shazam. So when she says this line, if you didn't know Henry Cavill is in it, you might be thinking, alright, we're just going to see kind of like the outline of Superman as he comes down in the smoke. And maybe have somebody double line or something. But when he actually steps out, he's in the classic red and blue suit. And he's, you know, walking towards and he says, Black Adam, we need to talk. This makes a lot more sense than what I had read. Because, and I know some people are questioning, why would Superman listen to Amanda Waller? I mean, she is some sort of like governmental figurehead, and I'm sure it's one of those things like, well, I'm sure he doesn't trust Waller. But also, he probably did see footage of Black Adam tearing up things, and it's like, you know what? No, it is a good idea for me to go over there and check him out. So that's kind of what my thoughts are on it. And like I said, we see Amanda Waller and Peacemaker make the call to the Justice League. So for me, this works perfectly. This is not like a gap of knowledge here. But where can this go? Well, we got Henry Cavill back. And apparently, for people that don't know, The Rock had to go over Walter Hamada's head. So Hamada's on his way out anyway. And actually, his last day, I think, was the 20th at DC. And he originally nixed the idea. And again, this seems to be some sort of thing of him not wanting to put Superman and the Affleck Batman in stuff. But I don't know. Ben Affleck's been filming stuff for Aquaman recently. And of course, he's in The Flash. So I'm not really sure why it was such a sticking point with Superman. I really don't. Henry Cavill has expressed he wanted to come back all the time. And they actually pitched a movie to follow up Man of Steel a few years ago. And again, they nixed it. We don't know why. And now for him to be back, The Rock had to go over Hamada's head, go to more senior leadership at WB, pretty much say the fans want it, I want it, let's do it. And they had until, I think, mid-September to film the scene to be able to insert it in this film. So that was really cool. And again, this is all stuff we know because they've openly been talking about this cameo for whatever reason. Either to try to draw more attention to the film, to either reassure fans like, hey, we hear you. I don't know. But The Rock got booed at Comic-Con, in part due to this Superman stuff. So he got booed and immediately is like, I'm not dealing with that again. And he does seem to genuinely care about the fans, and he's a fan himself. He's been attached to Star's Black Adam since like 2007. He's been trying to make this movie work for so long. He's always talked about how such a big Black Adam fan he is, and reading the comics as a kid. So there's passion there, and you know, there's also an animated film that is Captain Marvel, Shazam, as he's more now known, I guess, and Superman teaming up against Black Adam. And I wouldn't be shocked if that's where this goes, if this is the next film. We have Shazam, Fury of the Gods coming out in March. Will there be a reference to Black Adam in it? I don't know. Maybe an end credit scene. I mean, he is part of the Shazam family, right? They mention him in the first Shazam film when they talk about the empty seat in the wizard's, like cave, right? They talk about an empty seat. I think they show a hologram of him. They show something of him when they're referring to the previous champion of the Wizard Shazam. So maybe there will be another reference in Shazam Fury of the Gods, and maybe we kind of get this Black Adam 2 / Shazam 3 type film where they go up against each other, or just a Black Adam 2 where he goes up against Shazam and Superman. I don't know what you call that. I would probably lean away from saying something like Superman versus Black Adam or Black Adam versus Superman, because we kind of saw what happened with Batman versus Superman, where people didn't really show up to that. I don't know if you want it to recall that in people's mind of, oh, they're doing another versus, and the last verse one I didn't like, I'm not going to go to this one. I think you might need to call it something else. Off the top of my head, can't really think of anything right now, but yeah, I would love, look, it'd be cool if it's all three of them. I'm even down if it's just Black Adam versus Superman. Some of the stuff that's come out in this Hollywood Reporter article since, where they talked about how Dwayne Johnson had to go over Hamada's head, is that they're working on a new film for Superman with Henry Cavill, that something's in the works, that they're trying to get something off the ground here, which would be great. He's been kind of on the sideline way too long. I mean, of course, he appeared in Justice League in 2017, Batman vs. Superman 2016, but we haven't had a Superman solo film since 2013. We're coming up on 10 years next year. And for the first superhero ever, for the biggest name superhero, I would say, if you just went to anyone and said, name a superhero, if they're not like a hardcore superhero fan, you're probably going to get basic answers like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. And those were the big three when I was growing up. So I could definitely see that. And he doesn't have a film. He's got a great show on CW, Superman and Lois, so that keeps him kind of in the public eye, I guess. But yeah, so that would be really cool, getting another film with Henry Cavill without Zack Snyder. Snyder's okay. Man of Steel's fine. But I want a Superman that's more hopeful, and hopefully we get that. But yeah, that's Black Adam. My thoughts were, it was a really fun time. I enjoyed it. I did like a preliminary ranking of this stuff. I have it third in the DCEU. Because I have the Suicide Squad first, the James Gunn one. Shazam second. Black Adam third. Man of Steel fourth. Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League fifth. Batman vs. Superman sixth. Wonder Woman seventh. Aquaman eighth. 2017 Justice League 9th. Wonder Woman 84 10th. Birds of Prey 11th. And David Ayer's Suicide Squad 12th. I posted that and I said, I posted on our Instagram and I said, this is my overreaction one here. I'm sure things will change as I rewatch some of these things. But I'll tell you what's not changing so far. Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad 2021. Staying number one. for the foreseeable future. But yeah, the next film we get to see is Shazam! Fury of the Gods in March. We get The Flash in summer. And that's a mess with all the Ezra Miller stuff. And then we have Aquaman... What is it? The Lost Kingdom? Aquaman... And The Lost Kingdom. Yep, December 25th, 2023. Oh yeah, we also get Blue Beetle next year in August. So here's the dates. March 17th, and this is the dates as of now. They've been changing these constantly. We'll see. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, March 17th, 2023. The Flash, June 23rd, 2023. Blue Beetle, August 18th, 2023. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, December 25th, 2023. Oh, Christmas. Christmas Day. It's interesting. They're working on Man of Steel sequels, supposedly. They're working on the script for Wonder Woman 84 right now. Apparently they also have some sort of script treatment for the sequel to The Flash, in case if that's popular. So DC may be getting their stuff in a row, finally, huh? We'll see. We will see. The DC is known for all these announcements that don't ever amount to anything. I know they said James Gunn is working on Peacemaker Season 2, and that after that he has some film that he wants to work on with the characters of something else. They didn't say what. So that'll be interesting. Okay, for the rest of... What are we talking about before we get the next film in March? I'm hoping to do some more stuff as it happens. Been kind of busy because we had since the last episode I did, there was so many Marvel series that I was recapping. You know, we had like Miss Marvel, and then She-Hulk, which is a long series. And right now, with everything up in the air before, I was kind of hesitant to record something that had become outdated right away. So now I'm just sitting here like, okay, I'm going to have to create a new outline of what I kind of want to cover on this show. Now that maybe things are back in the right place, but, you know, DC hasn't been putting out the same amount of content Marvel is, of course, so there's less to talk about if we're talking about the shared universe stuff. So, like I said, I would really like to cover more comic stuff. Superman and Lois, Smallville, that kind of stuff as well. Talk about those. But for now, I don't know the next thing that I'm recording for this, but just keep an eye on your feeds for as this continues, as we get closer to Shazam in March. And maybe we'll do a little get to know Shazam and do some comic readings, like a book club thing of, oh, here's some Shazam stories we're going to read, and maybe we'll do stuff like that. I don't know yet. Dark Crisis is still going on. I think I'm going to wait until that wraps up for us to maybe do an episode about Dark Crisis, a big DC event. But yeah, so if you want to give us a follow on all of our platforms, they are... Okay, Twitter, at ElseworldsDCFan, Facebook.com/ElseworldsDCFan. Our Instagram is... I don't know, it's on our link tree. You can go to our link tree /ElseworldsDCFan. Or you can email us, elseworldsdcfan@gmail.com. I hope everyone has a great rest of their week, and we'll catch you all next time.